Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1862B, and today's date is May 8th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Get Ready for the Fireworks, Power Returns to the People. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about the threats nowadays in America, especially with the caravans bombarding the border. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market? It has life-saving emergency strobe lights. You can charge your phone anywhere, anytime, with a USB port. Other features include compass, rope, wire cutter, solar-powered recharging, high and low beam LED modes, glass-breaking hammer. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance you can get yours at a discount before they sell out. Purchase the best flashlight on the market and get 20% off when you use the code X20. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state and the Dems, they are panicking like never before. I mean, it is off the scales. They don't know what to do because they know if these investigations that Barr is conducting, and we know there's many other investigations that are already done, just sitting there waiting, they know they are doomed. And even trying to stop Barr by saying he's in contempt and all this is not going to stop the investigations. It's not going to stop anything. Remember, there's many other people working on this than just Barr that have been working on this for a very long time. And if there's crimes associated with this and there's treason associated with this, nothing, and I mean nothing, will stop this. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to impeach. That's their main focus. That's what this is all about. And they don't have anything. And they're trying to get information. This is why they want all the evidence that Mueller has collected. They want to sift through it to see if they can use any of this in their impeachment process. Now, we know the deep state, they've been saying for a very long time that we need to get Trump's tax returns. We know that Clinton was out there and she called on China to get the tax returns. Now, very interestingly, the New York Times obtained 10 years of Trump's tax documents from his federal income tax returns for the years of 1985 to 1994. Now, we need to be very clear on this. The Times did not obtain Trump's actual tax returns. Rather, they obtained printouts from his IRS transcripts with numbers from his tax form 1040 from an individual who had legal access to them. Very interesting. Now, at first glance, it is being reported that Trump's core business, hotels, apartment buildings, casinos, took a $1.17 billion loss. Okay, big deal. Who cares? The Times also said that Trump didn't pay federal income tax for 8 to 10 years. Of course, this is normal for business owners that can roll their losses over, net operating loss, but they are trying to make this out like he's not paying his taxes. Now, let's break this down. First, let's start off with the tweets with Trump. He said, real estate developers in the 80s and 90s, more than 30 years ago, were entitled to massive write-offs and depreciation, which would, if one was actually building, show losses and tax losses in almost all cases. Much was non-monetary, sometimes considered tax shelter. You would get it by building or even buying. You always wanted to show losses for tax purposes. Almost all real estate developers did, and often renegotiate with banks. It was sport. Additionally, the very old information put out is a highly inaccurate fake news hit job. Now, what's very interesting about this entire story is they left out the part that during this period of time, New York City was hit with a real estate crash, and a lot of developers and a lot of people lost money. But that's not all. They also forgot to tell everyone that this is really old news. When Trump was on The Apprentice, when he was hosting it back in 2004, during the beginning of The Apprentice, he openly admits that he lost it all. So when he was introducing the show, he talked about the business climate in Manhattan, saying that it could chew you up and spit you out. He claimed to be the largest real estate developer in New York, touting his buildings all over the world. But then he revealed that the road to success had not always been easy. It wasn't always so easy. About 13 years ago, I was seriously in trouble. I was billions of dollars in debt, he began. But I fought back, and I won big league. I used my brain, I used my negotiating skills, and I worked it all out. The New York Times is reporting old news. Trump already put this out there. He already mentioned all this back in 2004. Take 2004 minus 13 years ago, guess what? He just told everyone, yeah, he lost billions of dollars. The real estate market crashed. This was a propaganda stunt, and it's not working. Everyone is calling the New York Times out on this. They didn't investigate or discover anything. Again, a non-story. Now, very interestingly, according to John Solomon, former British spy Christopher Steele made a stunning admission during an October 11, 2016 meeting with Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Kathleen Kavalec, just 10 days before the FBI used his now discredited dossier to justify securing a FISA warrant to spy on Trump campaign aide Carter Page and the campaign ties to Russia. According to a typed summary of the meeting, which sat buried for over 2.5 years until in open records litigation by Citizens United, Steele said that his client is keen to see this information come to light prior to November 8th, the date of the 2016 U.S. election. Also in the meeting was an employee of Steele's Orbis security firm, Tatiana Durin. And according to The Hill, Kavalec's notes of the meeting, including this stunning admission, do not appear to have been provided to the House Intelligence Committee for its Russia probe. Now, this is according to Chairman Devin Nunes. They tried to hide a lot of documents from us during our investigation, and it usually turns out there's a reason for it, Nunes said. And Nunes notes that one member of Congress has transmitted the memos to the Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz out of concern that the IG's office has never seen it either. Now, the FBI has retroactively classified Kavalec's notes on 4/25/2019, despite the fact that it was originally marked unclassified in 2016. It is set to declassify on December 31st, 2041, 25 years after the 2016 election. I wonder why they did that. This new information proves why the Attorney General must conduct a thorough investigation of the investigators. And this is coming from Citizens United President and informal Trump advisor David Bosey, adding that Kavalec's notes suggested that there was an illegal effort to frame Trump with bogus collusion allegations. Now, according to one source who has seen the notes, they also contain information on Steele's political ties which have not been given to Congress. There's a connection to Hillary Clinton in the notes. The significance of Kavalec's notes is monumental, even with the redactions, as it is definitive proof that the U.S. government had full knowledge that the foundation of their FISA warrant had a political motive and an election day deadline to make public. We also know, according to the report, that this information was transmitted before the Page FISA warrant to people whose job is so sensitive their identity had to be protected. In short, there's virtually no way the FBI didn't know what they were dealing with. Trump tweeted out the following. The British spy Christopher Steele tried so hard to get the fake dossier out before the election. Why? And that is the question. If you notice, Trump is continually out there asking questions like, why is this? How did this start? Where did this originate from? Why did they use a fake dossier? We need to go back to the beginning because the whole thing's based on fake information. So if it's all based on fake information, we need to know where it all came from and how this started. We need to go back to the source. And this is what the deep state Dems, they don't want to do because it's going to lead back to who? All of them. Now, what's very interesting is that the entire Mueller investigation had nothing to do with Russian collusion. Now, we all know this. The whole entire thing was constructed around obstruction. That's what they were really going after. They were going to use this for the impeachment process. And on January 22nd, 2018, 11 months prior to the midterm election, lawyers from the special counsel office told Judge Boasberg in a sealed courtroom why they needed to keep James Comey memos from being released. Special counsel attorney Michael Dreben informed the court the special counsel was charged with investigating an obstruction case against Trump from the beginning. Trump was the target of their investigation from the outset. Now that's interesting, because didn't Rosenstein and Comey, didn't they both assure Trump that he was not the target of the investigation? Well, apparently he was. So they were lying. Now, as soon as the court was told Trump was the target, the court agreed to seal everything relating to the journal of James Comey. And now we're trying to get this out into the open. Now, very interestingly, George Papadopoulos was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and he said that the FBI was spying on him before he joined the Trump campaign. Papadopoulos believes Obama FBI spied on him because of his contacts with Israel and not Russia. He tweeted out the following: Clapper is an imbecile. Not only did he outsource spying on me to the Italians, UK, Australia, and involve the CIA, he admits on CNN that it was normal. The most disturbing part of this is that I was being spied upon for ties to an American ally, Israel. Clinton errand boy Alexander Downer is having a meltdown on Twitter about POTUS. He is terrified that the world will now see that he was a wannabe spy who I caught right away and reported to the FBI Congress Mueller. Unfortunately for him, POTUS is declassifying everything. To all members of Congress who will question Mueller, one of the first you should ask is this: how long and under what basis was George Papadopoulos spied on for his legitimate ties to U.S. ally Israel? This will rock the testimony. Now, before the House Judiciary made a ruling today on whether or not to charge Barr with contempt, and we know that they've already done this, the Department of Justice sent a letter to Nadler. Now, the letter informs Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler the previous report content was provided without assertion or executive privilege. However, if Nadler follows through with impeachment plan, executive privilege is now enforced and the totality of the report is withdrawn from Congress. Now, we know that Trump went ahead and he exerted executive privilege. The only thing AG Barr was statutorily required to provide was the 4-page summary letter he already presented. Asking President Trump to throw the executive privilege blanket over the full work product effectively shields it from congressional review and simultaneously blocks Congress from proceeding with any impeachment action. The assertion of executive privilege effectively removes any lack of production action, which means the impeachment threat. So they just set up a firewall, a force field, where Chairman Jerry Nadler can't do anything at this point. Essentially, AG Barr is going old school with classic separation of power. Remember, Barr came out of retirement. He doesn't care anymore. He wants to follow the rule of law and put all of these treasonous individuals behind bars. He's already investigating. Most of the investigations are already done. Ryan Fournier tweeted out the following: to the left, Attorney General Barr is the most dangerous man in D.C. For the first time in 10 years, there's an Attorney General who is applying the laws rather than a party's ideologies. There are 10 years of crimes that have gone without prosecution, and the left is terrified. Let me read the statement from the press secretary regarding the executive privilege. May 8, 2019. The American people see through Chairman Nadler's desperate ploy to distract from the president's historically successful agenda and our booming economy. Neither the White House nor Attorney General Barr will comply with Chairman Nadler's unlawful and reckless demands. The Attorney General has been transparent, accommodating throughout this process, including by releasing the no collusion, no conspiracy, no obstruction Mueller report to the public and offering to testify before the committee. These attempts to work with the committee have been flatly rejected. They didn't like the results of the report, and now they want a redo. Faced with Chairman Nadler's Nadler's blatant abuse of power, and at the Attorney General's request, the President has no other option than to make a protective assertion of the executive privilege. It is sad that Chairman Nadler is only interested in pandering to the press and pleasing his radical left constituency. The American people deserve a Congress that is focused on solving real problems like the crisis at the border, high prescription drug prices, our country's crumbling infrastructure, and so much more. Now, during this whole entire hearing with Nadler, Jim Jordan laid out all the facts. And I'm not going to say any more, just take a listen to what he said.
Following the law, and what's his reward? Democrats are going to hold him in contempt. I don't think today's actually about getting information. I don't think it's about getting the unredacted Mueller report. I don't think last week's hearing was actually about having staff question the Attorney General. I think it's, as my colleague said earlier, I think it's all about trying to destroy Bill Barr because Democrats are nervous he's going to get to the bottom of everything. He's going to find out how and why this investigation started in the first place. Never forget what Bill Barr said a few weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago, when he testified in front of the Senate Finance Committee. Said a lot of important things, but he said four very interesting things. First, he said there was a failure of leadership at the upper echelon, term he used, upper echelon of the FBI. We all know that's the case. Director Comey's been fired. Deputy Director McCabe fired, lied 3 times under oath, according to the Inspector General. FBI counsel Jim Baker demoted and left, currently under investigation by the Justice Department. Lisa Page demoted and left. Peter Strzok, deputy head of counterintelligence, demoted and fired. Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation and the Russia investigation. There was certainly a failure of leadership at the upper echelon of the FBI. Second thing the Attorney General said 3.5 weeks ago in front of the Senate Finance Committee. Spying did occur. Said it twice. Yes, spying did occur. Third, he said, there's a basis for my concern about the spying that took place. And maybe the most interesting thing, 2 terms he used that frankly I find frightening. He said there was, in his judgment, he thinks there may have been unauthorized surveillance and political surveillance. Scary terms. We got to go back to January 3rd, 2017. Senator Schumer on the Rachel Maddow show talking about then President-elect Trump says this: if you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. Now, I don't know if the FBI went after President Trump in 6 ways, but I sure know they went after him in 2 ways. And the first one is the now famous dossier. On October 21st, 2016, the FBI used one party's opposition research document as the basis to go to a secret court to get a warrant to spy on the other party's campaign. That happened. Democrat National Committee, the Clinton campaign, paid Perkins Coie law firm, who hired Fusion GPS, who then hired a foreigner, Christopher Steele, who did what? Talked to Russians and put together this salacious, unverified document that became the basis to get a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. They did it. And when they went to the court, they didn't tell them important things like who paid for it. They didn't tell them that Christopher Steele had already told the FBI and the Justice Department that he was, quote, desperate to stop Trump. And they didn't tell the court that Christopher Steele had been fired by the FBI because he's out talking to the press. They did that. And second, just last Thursday, New York Times story, FBI sent investigator posing as an assistant to meet with the Trump aide in 2016. FBI sent someone in, pretending to be somebody else, to talk with George Papadopoulos, who was with the Trump campaign. You know what they call that? You know what they call that? It's called spying. They did it. They did it. They did it twice, and who knows how much more. And what I know is Bill Barr has said he's going to get to the bottom of it. And think about the term he used again. This is important. Political surveillance in the United States of America. I will not yield. Think about that term. He's going to get to he said he's going to put a team together, going to investigate all this. This is critical. And never forget the guy who ran this investigation, Peter Strzok, ran the Clinton investigation and then launched and ran the Trump-Russia investigation. Never forget what he said. Trump should lose $100 million to zero. We need an insurance policy. Told Lisa Page, don't worry, Lisa, we'll stop Trump. This is what Bill Barr wants to investigate. And as my colleagues have said, this is the House Judiciary Committee. with the history this committee has in protecting fundamental liberties and protecting the Constitution. Last week, there was another important document Emmett Flood, sent to the Attorney General. I just want to read a couple sentences. Under our system of government, unelected executive branch officers and intelligence agency personnel are supposed to answer to the person elected by the people, the president, and not the other way around. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's a matter of having a government responsible to the people, to we the people. In the partisan commotion surrounding the Mueller report, it would be well to remember that what can be done to a president can be done to any of us. And this committee is supposed to look out for that fundamental fact more than anything else. And we are not doing that today.
Now, all I have to say to that is, boom, he laid out all the facts. And guess why he did this? He did this to let everyone know that this is what is being investigated. And these individuals who have been fired, who've resigned, who've been demoted, they were all part of it. And there was something underhanded going on. And these individuals who are sitting there, they are panicking. They don't know what to do. And we know already today that the Democrats held Barr in contempt. Brian Cates tweeted out. He's from @DrawnStrike. And it's done. House Democrats on the Judiciary Committee just voted to hold the entire Department of Justice and the AG in contempt for not turning over grand jury evidence from ongoing cases and investigations to them. So basically, what we're seeing here is a power play. And the Patriots, they're on the offensive, and the deep state, the Dems, they're on the defensive. Because under special counsel rules, Attorney General Bill Barr didn't even need to release Mueller's report to the public or to the Congress. The unredacted version of the report is in a SCIF, a sensitive, compartmented information facility, for certain lawmakers to view. However, only two lawmakers have actually viewed the less redacted version of the report. Nadler and the Dems, they didn't even look at it. This is how you know this is not what they really want. They want all the other information because they don't have anything they can use to impeach the president. And since it's sitting in a SCIF, they can't leak out any information. They're stuck. The Patriots have them trapped. They're on the defensive. They're like wild animals trapped in a corner, and they're trying to scratch and gnaw their way out of this. Trump tweeted out the following: "Everyone wants to know who needs to be accountable because it took up to 2 years of our lives talking about this Russian involvement. It proved no collusion, and people want to trace it back to see how this all happened. Treasonous hoax," and that is in all caps. Again, the whole point of this is to go back to the beginning, because it has been shown now that everything that they did, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the CIA, all of this was done on fake information, which means it was a fake witch hunt. Where did this information come from? Who was responsible? Who do we hold accountable? That's where all of this is headed. Now, it looks like Trump won again. The Federal Appeals Court rules that Trump administration can keep sending asylum seekers to Mexico. And this is coming out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I mean, this is another victory for Trump and America. Now, the ruling was in favor of the Trump administration, and it will stay in effect until the case continues before the appeals court. So right now, it's holding steady. Now, something interesting came out today, where Trump is out there and he is touting the return of the July 4th fireworks show to Mount Rushmore. And he's praising South Dakota Governor and Interior Secretary for making this happen. Now, fireworks last went off over Mount Rushmore in 2009. Who was President? Obama. And they were discontinued due to concerns related to the pine beetle infestation in the Black Hills National Forest. I believe that was a cover story. I believe they didn't want fireworks over these presidents, the founding fathers of this country. And if you notice, this is also why they were taking down a lot of the statues. They're trying to get rid of the history here in the United States. Now, Trump is bringing, and others, they're bringing back the fireworks. And this July 4th, they're going to shoot them off over Mount Rushmore. Trump tweeted out the following: I am pleased to inform you that the big fireworks, after many years of not having any, are coming back to beautiful Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. Great work, Governor Kristi Noem and Senator Bernhardt. Now, where did we hear fireworks before? That's right. Q mentioned this. Let's go back to post 1573. Now, first, Q gave us a link to Hannity, where this was about bureau bias. Top Republican says FBI misled Department of Justice with false information. Q says Riri drops RE 302. So FBI 302's official interview records modified for political purposes. Department of Justice forced to supply. This is in kill brackets, Rod Rosenstein, RR. Then Q says fireworks. Rank and file testifying as informants. Hussein, White House. Senior staffer on record. Payne, House of Cards. These people are sick. Doctors treating. Post 1621 gave us a link to Trump at a rally, and he made the Q symbol, and someone tweeted this out. And Q says, where we go one, we go all. Where did this storm derive from? Some things leave lasting impressions. Listen carefully. Gave us a YouTube link to the White Squall movie from 1996, and this is where they got the term, where we go one, we go all. Let me continue here. When did POTUS make this statement? When do we arrive to start the awakening? You have more than you know. Fireworks. Then we move to post 2987. Q gave us a link to White Squall once again and said the following: never in our history has a communications project such as this taken place. Return power back to the people. Truth, transparency, and equal justice under the law. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men and women, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments will long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, and to provide new guards for their future security. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. This was Reagan, United We Stand. July 4th, 2019. Where we go one, we go all. Trump did mention that July 4th is going to be amazing, and he wants everyone to join him on July 4th. Q mentioned fireworks before. Trump just paved the way to have fireworks over Mount Rushmore. Trump made the announcement that July 4th is the date. Well, we'll have to see when July 4th hits. That is Independence Day. And something else very interesting happened today. Court TV is now live. Perfect timing. Now, we know out in Venezuela, Iran, we know that things are heating up. Not for war, but Trump now and the Patriots, they are moving to go after those black sites, to go after the deep state. And we see already that Iran, they've made the first move. We know that the Abraham Lincoln is going over to the Middle East area, the Persian Gulf. We understand there's another aircraft carrier and B-52 bombers are going over there. A lot of people saying, oh, we're going to be heading into war. No, Trump doesn't work this way. This is not for war. I mean, we sent an aircraft carrier to North Korea, but it actually didn't go to North Korea. It eventually made it up to North Korea, but we didn't have war. Trump only uses this for pressure, for leverage. And we already see that Iran, they have suspended commitments under the 2015 international nuclear deal. Now, Foreign Minister Zarif said in a tweet that Iran was acting within its rights under the deal, and it was up to the 3 European powers to act. So we went over this yesterday, but this is the beginning stages of showing how they're starting to look at everything, and they're, backing out of this because they want commitments from the EU, which means they're not sure that the EU is going to back them up. Remember, there's a lot of things happening and a lot of information that's going to be coming out very, very soon, especially with the D-class, because once this starts getting back to other countries and other allies, and it shows that Obama, Clinton, and many others were in cahoots with many other nations doing illegal, treasonous things, guess what? It's too late for Iran. It's too late for all these countries. They better decide now. The Patriots are in control. They're on the offensive. They hold all the cards. They have the D-class. They have the facts. They have the information. The New York Times, the mainstream media, the Dems, they're all out there, the deep state. And I'm not saying that every Dem is bad, because not every Republican is bad. There are good Republicans, there's good Democrats, but there is a core that belong to neocons, the deep state, and whatnot, and they have done treasonous things. And we need to get rid of all these individuals. And I believe a lot of these individuals are going to start to resign, or they're not going to run. We've already seen this. I mean, look what happened to the FBI, Department of Justice, and the rest. We're going to start to see this in government, in Congress. And you're going to see, once the D-class comes out, many of these people are going to say, okay, I'm out of here. There's no longer any reason for me to be here, and I'm not going down with the ship. And a lot of people are going to say, I'm not going to run. Remember, Trump, the Department of Justice, all the investigators, all the sealed indictments, they're holding all of it. What is the deep state? What are they doing right now? They're using all their ammunition. They're putting out lies. They're putting out stories. They're putting out propaganda. And once the truth comes out, it's going to increase the credibility of the Patriots and decrease the credibility of the deep state, because everything that they said is going to turn out to be a lie. Like Comey is out there and he's saying that the FBI followed the rules. This is not in spying. This is investigating. Yes, FBI does investigate when they follow the rule of law, when they obtain warrants legally. What happens when the FBI does things underhanded and they obtained warrants under false pretenses, and the court acknowledges they never received that information? Is that investigating, or is that spying? No, that's spying now. Now Comey looks like a liar. He lost credibility. Think about Clinton with her email server and all those people that investigated her email server, that there was, that turns back to Comey again, that there was no case. Now they have the information that shows there was a case, that they were covering for her. Where does the credibility go? It goes down the drain. Same thing with the Uranium One deal. This is why Trump and the Patriots are letting this play out the way it is going. They want them to continually push lies, because every time they do it, their credibility goes down another notch, another notch, another notch. What does this do? It makes it a lot easier for Trump, the Department of Justice, all the investigators, and everything else. Because once their credibility has been brought down, you bring out the facts, you bring out the information, and everyone's going to say, wait a minute, everything you told us was lies? You betrayed our trust. Because here we have the facts. This is what you signed off on. This is what you gave to the FISA court. This is what you did. You spied. You lied about your server. The FBI lied about the server. Here's the information. Wait a minute. You were giving information to China? This is why Trump and the Patriots are allowing them to do this. They're using all their ammunition, and their credibility is sinking every single day because they have nothing to use against the Patriots. It's all propaganda. It's all them screaming and yelling out there, and they have nothing. And eventually what's going to happen, and I do believe this is going to happen before July 4th, Q has been saying it's in this May timeframe when we're going to start to see all this flow out. And it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be everything at once. I think they're going to bring a little bit out. Why? To chip away at them a little bit at a time. Watch them sweat. Watch them panic a little bit at a time. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.